Hey, Sea Turtles, it's Coach Gilbert again, with another bedtime story. We're going to try something a little bit different. This is a classic children's book, The Wind in the Willows. Absolutely love this book, but it is much thicker than a regular picture book. So we're going to do this one a chapter a night. There are 11 chapters in it, okay? So for about 2 weeks, we will be reading The Wind in the Willows together. Chapter 1, The Riverbank. Mole had been working very hard all morning spring cleaning, first with brooms and dusters, then standing on a little table with a brush and a pot of paint, slap, slap, up and down, till he was aching all over. Suddenly he flung down his brush and said, "Brother!" and "Hang spring cleaning!" and bolted out of the house into the fields outside. "This is fine," he said to himself. "This is better than painting the house." First he met some rabbits as he rambled along the hedgerows. Soon he found himself a river. Mole sat down on the grassy bank, and then he saw, coming out of the dark hole on the other side, a little brown face with whiskers. It was a water rat. "Hello, Mole," said Rat. "I'll come over in my boat to fetch you." There's Mole, working on his house, doing his spring cleaning. Leaves his house and he goes to the river where he sees his friend the river rat. "Do you know I've never been in a boat before in all my life," said Mole. "What?" cried Rat. "In that case, let's go down to the river together and make a day of it." He rowed quickly back across the water with Mole. Rat popped into his hole in the bank and came staggering out a few moments later with a heavy picnic basket. They rowed down the river, past the wild wood, as far as an old water mill. There Rat brought his boat alongside the riverbank so that they could set out the picnic. "What have we got?" asked Mole, who was hungry. "There's chicken and ham and salad and lemonade and cake and chocolate biscuits." "Oh my," said Mole. "Man, that sounds like quite the feast." There they are in the boat, packing their picnic. And man, what a good looking picnic that looks like. A few minutes later, when they were feeling much better and not so hungry, a very wet and furry head suddenly appeared out of the water above the edge of the riverbank. It was an otter. "You greedy beggars," he said. "Why didn't you invite me?" And he set about helping himself finish up the picnic. "All the world seems to be out on the river today," said Otter, wiping his paws and whiskers. "Toad's out for one, in his brand new boat, and wearing his new boating clothes." Just then Toad flashed into view, rowing rapidly past the watermill. Rat stood up excitedly and waved to him, but Toad just shook his head and rowed on. There is their friend the otter joining them for their picnic. And if you look way out there, there's Toad in his brand new boat. By now they had eaten all the food. Otter was in the middle of telling them a story about Toad and beginning to feel a bit peckish again when suddenly he saw a juicy mayfly. With hardly a splash, he was gone. So Mole and Rat packed up the picnic things and got back into the boat to go home. Rat was rowing gently along when Mole said, "Ratty, please, I want to row now." "Not yet, Mole," replied Rat. "It's not as easy as it looks." But Mole jumped up and grabbed the oars, knocking Rat backwards. "Stop it!" cried Rat. You'll have us both over. And over they went. Sploosh! And they were both struggling in the water. Oh my goodness. There they go. Rat, of course, was a good swimmer and thought it was very funny. Having rescued Mole and got him to the riverbank to dry off, he plunged back into the water to recover his boat. Finally, he dived down to the bottom of the river to rescue the picnic basket. I am sorry, Ratty, said Mole dejectedly. But they eventually got back home, and Rat and Mole sat in front of the bright fire to warm him up. And to cheer him up, he told him river stories until supper time. So supper was a very happy meal. And soon afterwards, Rat showed a very sleepy Mole upstairs to the best bedroom for the night. Well, it sounds like they had so much fun together that they're going to have a sleepover. Ooh, there it is. And that is the end of Chapter 1 of Wind in the Willows. And tomorrow night we will continue to read about Mole and Rat and Toad and some of the other creatures that live in the woods.